Alrighty, everybody, welcome back to the channel and our Ironsworn Starforged adventure, Crystalline Shadows. Where last we left off, Ash had freed Vander and they had taken flight to a new sector, the Quada sector. When they arrived, they had some issues with their navigational equipment and found out that a group of scoundrels, we'll say, had set up a jammer on not Aster. Aster's our home planet. It always resets back to the default sector. On the planet Boreas, and a little kind of way station temporary settlement Gloam, to kind of extort people for money or stuff, and they had to deal with that. Ash went in and managed to talk them down, which and then after staying for a couple of days, they watched the bandits leave after packing up all their stuff, and they have since left the sector, and our protagonist and friend have moved to the new planet Valinor. So what we know of Valinor is that it's a vital planet with breathable air but scarce life. It has 3 distinct biomes, a cold forest, shallow seas, and a fungal biome, which I believe we said might be kind of connected. We also know that life is scarce, so I think I mentioned something about the a dichotomy of the fungus that can be found in those biomes, being one is helpful and one is rather toxic, and the over farming of the helpful one allowed the more toxic one to spread. So we will have to be careful while we're on Valinor, but we do know there is a settlement, as when Ash arrived, they ran into a fleet of attacking ships that were hunting for a settlement. So if I rolled for it before, I didn't save anything. So get the oracles out to find out what this settlement is. I know we successfully got around to, we're on the planet. Ash and Vander have made it past the barricade, and are on the planet, and it's not really like a blockade, it's more just a group. It was an aggressive group of ships that they did not want to tangle with, so they went around and managed to sneak in. So our goal here is to find the precursor site. Well, that's our journey, is to find the precursor site. But we have to discover and explore the precursor site. I'm gonna mark another progress on this, just because we've gotten to the planet, and that seems like a significant boost. We'll get another one, obviously, when we find the site, and then we'll have to go through it. But let's find out what type of settlement we've got here. So this is an Outlands place and a planet-side settlement. I think I may have talked this before. I didn't save anything, so let's just go through it again real quick. And then we can save it in the Valinor cell. So The population, I'm gonna say this is thousands. This is what I remember saying last time. I should have gone back and checked, but the I'm picturing this as like a an offshoot of a capital settlement, not a capital settlement itself. Remember that the derelict we explored was like a scouting ship that had come from here somewhere else. So a scout ship came here, they probably messaged back, sent back a message to be received from the mothership of like, hey, there's a planet here, it's got some stuff, probably pretty good for life, and then moved on. But when the initial settlers came up and started looking around, they probably found that it's like, this is okay. I imagine they had their own animals and stuff in the capital ships to kind of set up farms and whatnot, but not having its own biodiversity is an issue. Not only does it it's a double-edged sword. It means you don't have to deal with it, but it also means you don't have those natural resources that you would normally get. There's plenty of things like water and stone, and it's a very livable, nice planet with proper seasons and stuff like that. But life is kind of scarce. There's probably more vegetation and flora than there is fauna. So, but there is some fauna, and so I know the settlement is potentially going to be under attack. We might have to deal with that later, but we're gonna, so there, let's see what we get here. Initial look wise and stuff for this settlement as Ash and Vander pilot the Stellar Hawk through or across the planet's surface and kind of settle into, they get their initial contact. They're like, hey, well, you know, let's see what the initial contact is. See if they know about the pirates or not, because that their mood will probably determine whether or not they know. Welcoming, so they probably don't know. They're just like a, hey, you know, come on in. We give our stuff and we're cleared to land. So what is this place called? Felicity. Okay, we get welcomed into Felicity. So either, well, you know, we'll keep it for now. We'll keep this one. But I will probably for any other stuff we discover in this sector, I'll probably use, I remember I used the an expansion book for a more African inspired name, because I think that's the name of the ship we found was from that language family, so I wanted to continue that trend. But, you know, maybe this got renamed after the initial one, or it's, you know, a different group of people. Don't really know. Probably not important right now. We're more after the precursor site, so we're gonna have to figure that out. But first look, let us see here. Beautiful architecture, much like our home area, and built from organic materials. Is that the exact same that we rolled for Purgatory? No, we got beautiful architecture and intimidating defenses. I kind of rolled that in. But you know what, maybe, so we did a lot of natural stuff. I'm gonna adjust this and say built from local materials to be, it's more because they've got more scarce vegetation, so they probably wouldn't use it for their architecture, but they don't have to have that dome for you know, because we've got back home, we don't have an atmosphere, so that all of that city is internal, still inside the capital ship. So we took nature and brought it inside and did a lot of wood and natural fibers and stuff. But maybe this is like the local, all carved out of the local stone. I'm thinking like the main ship touched down as the center is kind of used like a town hall type, like a central administrative building, but they're in the middle of a rocky area, and maybe they've carved the buildings into the sides of cliffs and rock faces and stuff. So sometimes there's houses that have just been just fully carved out of a solid piece of stone, and sometimes it's just the house is inside the cliff wall, where it's just there's a door and some windows, and you go inside and there's a whole series of rooms that have been carved out. But what kind of authority do they have? Fair authority. Okay. So with this nice warm welcome, we will save this. With this nice warm welcome, Ash is going to tell Vander to stay with the ship. I'm gonna go talk to the dock master and let him know what we saw out there and maybe get some information on where we've got to go from here. Vander will nod in response and continue keeping their feet up on the table, where I assume is basically just their perpetual position, unless, you know, landing or taking off. So Ash leaves the ship. He's got his suit on. I'm gonna say he leaves his mask or his like helmet. He doesn't need it. And he wants to be more sociable. So this is going to be a try to be less intimidating and stuff. And do we want secure an advantage or gather information? That's ultimately what this interaction is going to resolve into. Just gain information is more in the spirit of things. Which is not going to help us too much right now, but it might help us in the future. So where Ash knows that there is a precursor site nearby, and you know someone has been to it, but he doesn't know if it's these people or if it was just that the crew of that one ship, and maybe seeing the state of the planet, their capital ship decided not to settle here. But let's just do a quick character. That's creature, not character. I can read, I swear. Real quick. So Ash goes down the landing ramp and looks around at this fairly busy port. I would say a lot of the ships like his, you know, the big interstellar ships probably aren't super popular here, but there would be transport ships for cargo and workers going out and mining resources and gathering resources and stuff. And it's probably more, that's probably the biggest ship that's common, and then there'd probably be space for more personal things like, you know, like hover skiffs and patrol bikes and stuff for whatever defense or police force they have, something like that. So Ash makes his way around some of the people rushing about and going about their day, and then finds the office. It's probably just a little hut. I don't think it's something super big and impressive for a settlement out in the outlands. You know, they don't get a lot of traffic that someone's got to worry about. We're probably gonna be, you know, the talk of the local scene for quite a bit, at least until, you know, the word of what we saw out there gets around. So Ash knocks on the door as he opens it. Or, you know, maybe there's not even like a door, or for people it's just like a window with one of those little speaker things, and he comes up to it. And let's see who is in the booth. Who is the dockmaster on duty right now? They are in its pronouns. Well, I guess it, not they. So it their whole is dockmaster. The name Quinn Sterling. They might have it might have a call sign, but we wouldn't know the call sign unless we were local. So what does it appear to look like? 50 and armed. Oh boy. But what's its disposition? Cooperative. So you know what? Maybe it approaches everything with something with you know, opportunity in mind. So it might look shifty, but it's not you know, I'm gonna take your liver and sell it on the black market shifty. It's more like, yeah, maybe I'll extort your parking fees. Maybe I've got some illegal cargo that you might be interested in, type thing. So we approach and it looks up, kind of squints at us, gives us that that I'm gonna do a quick calculation and see how much I think I can get out of you one way or another type look. And then it kind of just taps the button on the microphone to speak. The tinny speakers and stuff like that kind of crackle. Probably kind of hard to see a whole lot of details aside from, you know, they've got this it's got this big, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. It's kind of hard to see this person. It's got this, aside from this big bulky old school blaster pistol, it's got on the desk in front of it that can probably shoot through whatever plexiglass-esque window pane is between it and Ash, and there's glare on the window, so Ash really can't see details, but it leans into the microphone and goes, yeah, what can I help you with? And Ash thumbs back at his ship and goes, I just flew in from Gloam. On the way here, we ran into a fleet that was stopped and making repairs. We think we ran into the group that attacked them. Just wanted to inform you that they seem to be outside, coming towards the planet. I don't know if they know this place is here, or not, but they were definitely heading here. A bunch of brightly colored ships seemed they were flying together, but they didn't seem they weren't flying codes for any sort of government or group that I knew of. So just figured I'd warn someone who was in charge so they can spread the word. Hopefully comes to nothing, but better safe than sorry, yeah? And it kind of squints at us and nods. Alright, that it? Anything else you need? And Ash pauses, thinks whether this person is gonna be able to help them or not. Looking around, it's a big enough settlement that there's probably social places. Like there wouldn't probably be a ton of bars with limited natural resources and stuff. They'd be limited to whatever their farms and whatnot can grow, but I'm sure there's a alcohol trade, so there's probably some people running establishments, but there'd be gathering places, you know, little parks and stuff like that, that whatever this culture's social activity was. Which, fun fact, I've learned that apparently ice cream was the big social thing during Prohibition. When you couldn't get and drink socially, you'd go to ice cream parlors and stuff like that. So there'd be something like that. Some sort of treat, some sort of activity that was easy to do. But I don't think Ash is willing to wait that long. We've established that Ash is not the most patient person in the world. So Ash is just gonna ask this person, and is just like, I'm here on looking for something specific, an old site that a crew of a different ship found. Got a hold of the coordinates and it led me here. Any chance you'd know anything about that? And so let's find out. Let's save this person to Felicity. Yeah. That is going to be a gather information, which is plus wits. So let's find out here. A weak hit. And a weak hit and a weak hit, the information provides new insight but also complicates your quest. Envision what you discover and then take +1 momentum. So I think the obvious thing for that would complicate our quest is that somebody was already there. It lets out a little bit of a laugh and goes, "Oh, that old place, that's pretty popular right now. Yeah, good luck with that. We had another group come through looking for it, from what I heard. If you go out that way," and it points out towards, you know, the wilderness. Go out that way and go for a couple of miles. Once you'll go up a big rise, in between two mountains, kinda two that used to be mountains anyway. You'll go through this little pass and you'll go up at the top of the rise, and once you get up there, you'll be able to see it. Just keep an eye out. You know, it's kind of covered in all vegetation and stuff. It's been there for a while. But be careful. If you're not new around here, there's a fungus. A lot of caves and stuff from the water level dropping at some point, but they still flood at high tide every once in a while. so they get damp, and those places, there's all kinds of bad stuff if you breathe it in too much. Should be okay if you're just walking through it, but definitely don't eat it. And if it's dry, you might want to wear a mask, because it puffs up and fills the air. Some of it's good though. If you know what the good stuff looks like, we're always taking more of it. It makes good medicine. It's almost like a what was that stuff called? I don't remember. Back in the old world, they had, you know, that stuff that they gave to everybody for infections and whatnot. It's kind of like that. So if you bring it back, I'm sure you can sell it here. But otherwise, be careful. And as Ash walks away, he hears the speaker again. And if you do find any, I'll take some first. I'll make sure you get best prices here. Don't go selling it to nobody else, okay? And Ash just waves his hand in an acknowledgement, and returns to the ship to inform Vander of what he's discovered and prepare to head out. When Ash gets back to the ship, he sees Vander with their stuff all kind of laid out on one of the tables in the car, probably the only table in the common area, where they've got their medical device, because either they would have grabbed it on the way out, or they would have just had it because people not knowing quite how all of that worked, in case, like almost treating it like an inhaler, like an emergency item type thing. But the issue is they've got is they're kind of low on supplies, and they're taking inventory, and it's not looking great. Like, they've got enough that they're not gonna like heal over anytime soon, but their supplies are lower than they would like, and Ash can easily tell this, mostly because, you know, if the heart crystals, that's what they're named, right? Double check. How does this work again? Yeah. Heart crystals, yes. So the heart crystals are like the main ingredient for his thing. Or the heart crystals are like the main ingredient for that device to do its thing. So without the heart crystals, they're gonna have to do something different, or restock or something somewhere. And this settlement does not appear to be a very well-off settlement, I don't think. It's not struggling by any means, but I don't think they're gonna just hand out heart crystals on the cheap because we asked pretty please. So Ash is gonna kind of hover over, looking down, brow furrowed, arms crossed, and just ask him, is this going to be a problem? And Vander will kind of glance up, muttering to themselves, and then go back to muttering to themselves, sorting out vials of this and that, and kind of spreading out the few shards of heart crystal that they've managed to stow away in some secret pocket of the case. And they're muttering, you know, times and, you know, dosages, and it's like, how much can I get out of this? And, oh, if I take less, more farther in between, just half heard internal thoughts mostly slipping out as they try to do the calculations. And they let out a sigh and go, I can make it work, but it's on the edge of dangerous. And Ash looks it over and goes, can you supplement it with other ingredients? This place is probably the last place we'll be able to get anything guaranteed, and the Dockmaster was talking about a medicinal fungus that the townsfolk use quite often. Could you take something like that to, or perhaps one of their other natural remedies to extend your supplies? Vander kind of shakes their head this way and that, thinking, he's like, if you don't mind me going out to see what they have, I might be able to find something. No guarantees, but best to look around, I guess, before we leave. And Ash will get out of their way and nod towards the door, which Vander will give a grateful nod to, and grab a satchel of some sort and head out to browse the market stalls. And Ash is going to go into his workshop and start tinkering on something, but I think we're going to cut away to Vander Bond and their little quick adventure through the town. I think last time we determined that there weren't great oracles. Let me check the book. Let me check the book real quick. Vander is kind of just wandering through. They aren't a very they don't usually move with purpose. They kind of meander. They stroll. They treat everything like you're wandering through a flea market almost. And we've determined that they're a very personable person. They are they're high. They're, if we were to stat them out, their stuff would probably be high heart, shadow, and wits. And they probably take more time than they need to, just to enjoy the fresh air, especially because if I just closed it, but I believe the planet, yeah, the atmosphere is not great back home, or on Morricone. Atmosphere is breathable on Morricone, but it's also a desert planet. This is a true vital world where the air is nice and robust with various healthy substances in it, oxygen and all the good stuff that we can breathe in that helps us here and there. And you know, the humidity and lack of dust is probably a pleasant experience for Vander as they move through the city. And they do pick up some stuff here and there. They've got a bit of credits on them to pick up various little things, some herbs, maybe top off some other supplies that they need for their medical kit, and you know, some that aren't necessary. They probably stop at get some cosmetics, some hair stuff, maybe a new little shiny bauble. They're shopping. They're not just, you know, go out and get this. And it's a nice experience. You know, the market is healthy and robust, and the stone walls make the the crowd, the voices, and the sharp footsteps on the stone echoing all into one kind of symphony of city noises that neither Ash or Vander would be used to for various reasons. This is the idea of such a healthy open air market is probably a pleasant experience for Vander, that they take a nice slow circuit around before returning to the Stellar Hawk to prepare to take off. And when they do, they find that Ash has taken a small crystal from some appliance or another and added it to their collection, to ensure that they have enough of the main ingredient to get through to where they're going, because who knows how long it's going to take for them, and if something were to exacerbate Vander's condition while they were in the field, better to be safe than sorry. And Vander picks it up a minute, looks it over here and there, and packs it away. But I do think that triggers another move. Here, develop your relationship. This is like a progress thing, so it's just, we're gonna mark progress towards deepening that connection into a bond. But now they have to set out on their adventure. So once more into the breach, we have to undertake an expedition. To find the precursor site. Or should we just roll for it? To finish an expedition. When your expedition comes to an end, roll challenge dice and create your progress. I think we're just gonna roll for it. We're at the end here. This is troublesome, so maybe a bit overkill. And Ash got the directions to it pretty explicitly, so I don't think we need to make another expedition just to get to this last little leg so we can get into the site proper. So let's roll against our progress here and see how our expedition turns out. It is a strong hit. So on a strong hit, you reach your destination and complete your survey. Mark your reward based on your discoveries track as per the expedition's ranks. It was troublesome, so we get 1 tick on our discoveries. So we've almost got another thing. 1 more discovery. And we'll have that. Now, are there specific moves? I don't think there aren't specific moves for vaults, but there are specific oracles. Let me see what the book says we're supposed to do here. So when you first come upon a vault, use the tables on the previous 2 pages to help envision its nature. For a more abstract prompt, use the descriptor oracle. But I want to do a bigger thing with this, so there's a more detailed thing. There are 3 stages to a precursor vault. There is the exterior, the interior, the sanctum, and then the vault purpose. So the exterior is like the basic outer edges of it that you see, what we see coming first over the ridge that that person described to us. Once you enter the site, you get to check out the interior, and then finally the sanctum is where the strangeness really comes to a head. Now these are old ruins from a massive ancient alien civilization, so they are going to be odd in some places with some different aspects to them. So let's see here. We've got a planet side location. Let's see here. How big is this? I'm going to just pick some of these. The scale is going to be a typical site, I think. Because your options are minor, typical, large, vast, of unfathomable complexity, then a world-spanning site or megastructure. So I think this is going to be a typical site of limited scope. The form, suggestion options. I think we're just gonna go with structure. This is a. All right, and I'm back. So we know this is a planet-side structure, and this is a focused medical facility. So Vander and Ash set out from town, walking along probably what isn't a like well established road, but a worn path. I imagine this is the type of place that for the most part the town has gotten what is useful to the town itself out of it. But it's the kind of place that like your friends dare you to go and you talk about haunted stories and stuff like that. So it's not difficult to find now that they've gotten there and gotten to the place. And they spend, I think we said a couple of miles, so they spend an hour or two walking at a solid brisk pace. Ash has all of his gear on, his helmet is back in place, sword at his side, stuff like that. Vander has probably a big messenger bag type setup. I imagine the case that they carry has like a strap so that it looks like a briefcase or a messenger bag kind of at their hip. And both of them are walking along. Ash is probably a little on edge, but not super on edge. He knows that another group went out there, but you know, they don't know if they're gonna be hostile. You know, they're not really competing for things. Because Ash is planning to share anything he finds anyway. So unless someone's really trying to, you know, be the first one to get this discovery out there, well, first off, they're probably, you know, too late for that. I'm sure whatever group this the local settlement broke off from already knows about this fairly well. So anyone, you know, trying to be like, oh, brand new discovery, probably a little bit behind the times, but I'm sure there is useful information, there is useful stuff that can be salvaged, and we'll go on that. But first, we need to see what this place looks like. And that's what this these three oracles do, right? These are the outer things of the precursor vault. So what is the shape? We know it's a structure, but Ash and Vander crest the hill and they stop and they look around, and it takes them a second to realize through you know, a combination of, you know, it being also carved out of the stone and what vegetation does grow, having long since overtaken it to the extent that it will do so. And just the foreign nature of it takes a second to pick out like the whole perimeter. You can see a building here or there, or part of the whole building if it's one piece. But let's see what we get. What's the shape of it overall? Organic or curved? So it's been carved into I wonder if it's carved to look like a giant version of the fungal colony. If that was like a main thing for them. Sorry. My cat decided to leave. So let me say that again. If that was a main thing for them to be studying and stuff, maybe they modeled the look of this structure out of the stone and with, you know, artificial connections and stuff to emulate the shape of this substance that they were studying and refining and trying to modify. And so I'm just going to say for the material, we'll go rocky or stone-like is one of the options. And then the first outer look. So as we start to approach, as Ash and Vander make their way down the hill, Ash has probably got his sword out just in case, you know, you want to be ready if you're gonna get jumped. So let's see what these two see as they get closer to the outer edge of this place. A cavernous opening. Do we want another one? Yeah, we'll do another one to see if there's anything interesting. You know, no, that's fine. Cavernous opening. So at the center of this structure is this just massive hole in the ground. And looking at it, they can see, is it explicitly steel, flashlight, toolkit, medkit, communicator, hand sword? I think it makes sense that they might have like a monocular or something like that, one of those fancy high-tech viewing things. Ash kind of holds it up as he sees this big hole in the ground, this building-sized hole in the ground, and zooms in on it, and he can see stairways kind of spiraling down into this hole at a couple of different points, starting up and just corkscrewing around the edge, all parallel to each other, so multiple people can come up and down at once. And the opening's big enough that you could have gotten like a personal craft through if he had like a hover bike or something like that. Might have been able to do that, although just jumping off of that may not have been the greatest. So if he had something that could, you know, coast down, he probably could have driven it into there, but he's gonna have to get through the interior first. But before we get to that, we have gotten we filled this out. So we discover and explore the precursor site. We have discovered the precursor site. We now have to explore it. So let's see here. Initial first look. So this is the first kind of details we see moving in to as they go down the road and the buildings get closer and closer. The The opening deeper in that leads presumably down to the vault is concealed by the outer perimeter of the buildings as they move into it, almost like a small settlement in and of itself in size. So it's going to take some time to walk through it and see, and especially because they're going to explore for sure. So let's see. The first look, wet or humid. So we again have this theme of wetness with the fungus and the shallow seas. So maybe this is one of the places that floods now. Could be close to a river that overflows during the wet season, or maybe water comes up from the vault. Perhaps some underground streams from the ocean have broken through in the years since it's been there. But so the place is damp. You know, the sound of the higher ground gives way to that distinct sound that walking across wet stone in thick-soled boots gives. And they can Ash might not be able to, but Vander can definitely smell the lingering mustiness of some place that gets wet and stays wet quite often. But what else do we see? What else is around? Yeah, this work. You know what? I'm just gonna re-roll that because you know the excessive heat kind of goes with the humid dampness, the oppressiveness. Magnetic surfaces. Okay. So we already know this was a technologically advanced people, that Vander has stuff in part of their medical kit, like their respirator that they use is clearly not our level of technology, anywhere close to it. But we can see as they're going in, some of the buildings are open with, you know, what used to be doors or windows, and they can see next to stuff like that are magnetic surfaces, almost like you would put something on it to like a key card reader now, like the RFID readers where you just kind of press your badge or your key card against it, something like that, but it's a metal. So maybe it's like a metal ID plate that they would have, or maybe these creatures were metallic in nature, so they had like their thumbprints and their hands would be, the sensor would be metallic, so a magnetic sensor to allow access, something like that perhaps. Okay, so now that we've gotten here, I think we're gonna end the session here a little early. Probably gonna end up being a shorter video, but what this means is I'm gonna save real quick. Publicity. We'll save that. Let's see what that looks like real quick. The mysterious vault. So let's say wet and humid magnetic surfaces. That way we can have just the whole exploration of the vault in one go. Well, it might end up being a little bit longer of an episode next time, depending on how long this takes, but we'll get into it so that way it's, aside from this initial look, we get into we'll get to take a look at the whole thing in one go next time. That way it's not broken up across multiple episodes for you guys. So if you enjoyed what you saw here and you want to see more, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, so we know you enjoyed it. And we'll see you in the next one when we delve into this mysterious vault that we've found on Valinor. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you all have a wonderful day.